Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're going to dive into a tech career that is, well, just incredibly stable, always in demand, and a fantastic way to get your foot in the door of big-time enterprise software. We're talking about SAP testing, and trust me, we're going to break down exactly what makes it such a smart long-term move.
All right, let me just ask you this straight up. Are you looking for a tech role that's more than just, a job? I'm talking about a real long-term career, one that's always in demand, pays really well, and, this is the big one, where your skills don't just become useless the second you change projects. If you're nodding your head right now, then you're going to want to listen up. This quote right here, it gets straight to the point. The world of SAP is absolutely booming, but the experts, they're rare, they're valuable. And here's the best part. SAP testing is one of the absolute best, most accessible ways to become one of those experts.
Okay, but before we jump into testing the system, we've got to back up a little. We first need to understand what the system is. So let's start with the basics. What in the world is SAP?
So, picture a massive global company, right? It's got finance, HR, sales, manufacturing, all these different moving parts. Well, SAP is like the company's central nervous system. It connects everything. It's what we call an enterprise resource planning, or ERP, software. And its whole job really is to make sure that everyone, no matter what department they're in, is working off the same set of data. It's the one single source of truth that makes the entire business run smoothly.
All right, so we get what SAP is now. It's the backbone of the company. So let's get to the main event, the world of SAP testing.
So what's the job in a nutshell? It's this. Whenever a company messes with its SAP system, the testers are the gatekeepers of quality. You're the one making sure those changes didn't break something else and that all the new stuff works exactly like it's supposed to. And to really get what that means, you need to know why these systems get changed in the first place. It really boils down to three big reasons. So, first up, you've got the initial implementation. You can't just, install SAP and it works. It's not plug and play. It has to be molded to fit a company's unique rules. A perfect example is annual leave. Let's say Company A gives its employees 12 days off a year, but Company B gives 20. Well, the SAP system has to be set up to handle that difference perfectly. And guess who makes sure it does? The testers.
Next, there's customization. Sometimes, a company's way of doing things is so unique that the standard, out-of-the-box SAP functions just don't cut it. So developers have to jump in and write custom code to build new features from scratch. And you know the drill. Anytime there's new code, it has to be tested like crazy to make sure it not only works, but that it doesn't mess up anything else.
And finally, number 3, ongoing maintenance. This is huge because the work is never done. Businesses are always adding new features, squashing bugs, putting in security updates. And every single one of those changes, no matter how tiny it seems, brings some kind of risk. And that means, you guessed it, it has to be tested.
Okay, so we get what SAP is and why we need to test it. But what does the tester actually do day to day? Let's walk through the process.
It pretty much breaks down into 3 simple phases. First up is test preparation. This is where you do the planning. You figure out which business processes you need to check, and you create detailed test cases. Think of them like recipes for someone to follow. Next, you move to test execution. This is the fun part. You're actually running the tests, either by hand or with cool automation tools, and carefully logging any bugs you find. And finally, you have test evaluation. Here, you're analyzing all those results, documenting what worked and what didn't, and giving the final report card to the whole project.
And it's not just one kind of testing either. The role has a ton of variety. For example, one day you might be doing integration testing, just to make sure the HR part of the system is still talking correctly to the finance part after an update. Another day, you could be running performance testing to see if the whole thing slows to a crawl during the busiest time of the month. And of course, there's regression testing. That's a big one. It's where you rerun all the old tests just to make absolutely sure a new feature didn't accidentally break something that used to work perfect. So all of this brings us back to the most important thing, your career. What makes SAP testing such a powerhouse move compared to other testing jobs? Well, it all boils down to one absolutely crucial idea. And this right here is the game changer. Look, if you spend years testing some custom-built billing app for one specific company, that knowledge is kind of stuck there. It doesn't really transfer. But with SAP, your knowledge is portable. It's like a universal passport for your career. The way a finance process works in SAP at a car company is fundamentally the same as at a retail company. Your skills, your expertise, it travels with you. And that makes you instantly valuable to the thousands and thousands of companies that all run on SAP.
And having a skill that's so portable leads to a really clear, reliable career path. You can see it right here. You might start out as a QA analyst just learning the ropes, but in just a couple of years, you could be a senior QA analyst, then a QA team coordinator. And with more experience under your belt, you can climb to test manager or even senior test manager, where you're leading whole testing departments. It's a real defined ladder with a ton of long-term growth.
But wait, here's the secret weapon. This is the ultimate career hack. While you're testing, you're not just finding bugs. You are learning the company's business, finance, HR, sales, inside and out. And that deep, deep functional knowledge, it's your golden ticket. It makes for a super smooth transition into becoming a full-blown SAP functional consultant, which is honestly one of the most in-demand and highest-paid jobs in all of IT. Testing isn't the final stop, it's the doorway.
Now, let's be clear. Modern testing isn't just someone mindlessly clicking through screens all day. No way. It's a really high-tech field now, and you're using some seriously powerful tools to make sure everything is top-notch.
And there's a good reason for that. Check out this number. A staggering 86% of companies using SAP are worried about the risks of not testing enough. Think about that. One little bug that sneaks into a live SAP system can literally cost a company millions of dollars. And that is why skilled testers, especially the ones who get automation, are worth their weight in gold.
And these are just a handful of the tools in your toolkit. You've got everything from industry giants like OpenText UFT1 to built-in tools that come with SAP like ECAT, and even cutting-edge platforms like TestRigger that use AI. Knowing your way around these is a huge part of what makes you an effective, modern SAP tester. It's a field that's always evolving.
So, let's just put it all together, right? You've got this mission-critical system that thousands of companies rely on. You have an absolute need for quality testing. You build skills that you can take with you anywhere. And you have a clear-as-day career path to becoming a super valuable, highly paid consultant. The opportunity here is just undeniable. The path is laid out for you. So the only real question left is, are you ready to walk it?